and some spring sports. We are going to talk Jonas Sanker, the Covenant School graduate, the UVA standout safety, picked in the third round by the New Orleans Saints, Hootie Ratcliffe. He might not be the biggest guy on the football field, but he's got intangibles that are very difficult to measure, and his football IQ, his quickness, and particularly laterally, I think is going to be pay dividends to Sanker at the next level. And the Saints saw some of what we have seen in Scott Stadium for an extended period of time. Yes, viewers and listeners, we're rocking and rolling. Jude, I see us live on my Facebook page. I see us live on the I Love CVille Facebook page, which is always good. And I will confirm Twitter here in a matter of moments. The audio is on. The cameras are not on yet. Hootie's page is up and running. Very excited about that, as Hootie's friends and followers on Twitter are devout Wahoo lovers. So, J-Dubs, things are looking very good now. Thank you for your diligence and patience. Judah Wickower is behind the camera. I think we are looking really good here, J-Dubs. You just make sure we're live on YouTube if you could. And we will start the show when you're ready. And we are live on YouTube. Excellent. Welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show, guys. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's Tuesday morning in downtown Charlottesville, and our studio is less than 2 miles away from Scott Stadium, the John Paul Jones Arena, and the University of Virginia. I'll tell you what, the off-season for football and basketball is not much of an off-season anymore. Headlines galore for both programs, including Ryan Odom, the newly minted basketball coach, securing a commitment from a 6'11" German international with NBA talent and NBA upside. How much upside? Well, this young man was projected to go in the second round in the upcoming NBA draft. But folks, Ryan Odom has attracted him to the University of Virginia, where he looks like your starting center and maybe the most talented player on the roster. We're going to talk transfer portal and Virginia hoops. 247 Sports ranks UVA number 47 in the nation from a transfer portal results standpoint. And speaking of the portal, how about Tony Elliott's football team? 247 Sports has slid UVA up into the top 25 now. I checked it this morning, number 25 in the transfer portal results, or rankings, as Tony Elliott is bringing more talent into the program, including almost 10 players post-spring game. Judah Wickower, we are live on my Facebook page and just about every page out there, including Hootie Ratcliffe's account. You, the viewer and listener, can ask us some questions. Judah, why don't you go to the studio camera and then let's welcome the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, who is fresh from the Virginia Sports banquet, Hall of Fame banquet.
Yeah, it was a fun time down in Virginia Beach this weekend, getting to see all the new inductees, and several of which I knew. Some of them, a couple of them I'd never even heard of before. A fellow from Roanoke who, believe it or not, is for years has been the guy who oversees the development construction of Major League ballpark, the actual baseball field itself, and has built fields, I think, in 90 countries all over the world, baseball fields, including the Field of Dreams, field for the movie, and for the game that they played there. The one at Rickett Field down in Birmingham that they had the Willie Mays game in this summer, and lots of things like that. It's just pretty cool. No, I didn't even know that there was somebody that was in charge of that, but he's been doing this for decades, and so it's really cool to see all those people in their moment of glory.
Scatter shooting, your notebook, Hootie Ratcliffe, Ryan Odom, commitment from a 6'11" German international with NBA upside. Odom's program has been completely rebuilt. The starting lineup to be determined. Mm-hmm. I certainly want to pick your brain on what's going on with basketball. Tony Elliott's team is getting accolades, now 25 from a portal results standpoint, according to 247 Sports. My friend, anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, well, 27 new players through the transfer portal into the football program, including 8 since the spring game. And a lot of these guys have some really good credentials. I don't think anybody can complain about the talent that he's bringing in now. And we talked about no excuses a few weeks ago, I guess, during spring practice. And, they've got all the facilities that they need now. They've got lots of players coming in from the portal. It's his biggest challenge now is to get all these people on the same page, and
That's no easy task.
no, it's not, and I think that's going to be quite a task, just to getting all these people in the right spots and getting them acclimated and working as a well-oiled machine, which is tough to do when you have guys that are back and have continuity, let alone bringing in 27, and who knows if that's the end of it or not. But that many new players, and they've got to mesh with what's here to begin with.
I'll highlight this: the challenge Tony Elliott has ahead of him. First off, he's in a must-win season. A must-win season to save his job. The first 3 years in Charlottesville, he's got the least amount of wins of any head football coach of any of the power conferences. So a must-win for Coach Elliott. 2, there's been so much money infused into this program, and with money and new infrastructure and new buildings comes high expectations.
Yeah.
3, he's ranked 25 from a 247 Sports transfer portal results standpoint. So he's clearly got talent on the roster. One thing we got to highlight, he's got nearly 10 guys inked to UVA since the spring game alone.
Yes.
So the practice time for this new roster, this new family of players, is not just limited, it's almost non-existent until camp opens.
Yeah, a lot of these guys will be going to summer school and will be going through the summer conditioning program, and there's voluntary workouts. Back in high school, we used to call them captain's practice, and you would show up. The quarterbacks and receivers, and I guess running backs, will work together, maybe work against some of the defensive backs and linebackers, 7-on-7 kind of deals. But I don't know if they might be able to have some coaching, maybe not at all. I can't keep up with NCAA rules anymore, but they change so often. But they are allowed to work out independently, and then the strength and conditioning coaches can put them through a lot of that sort of work too. So they can get to bond and know each other, even though they can't actually practice like they would in the spring and in training camp. So they'll come together. It's just they'll have to become more cohesive once training camp opens in August.
William McChesney, welcome to the program. Good morning, and thank you kindly for joining us. Viewers and listeners, this show, we encourage participation from you. Leave comments on any of the social media platforms you're watching upon, and we will relay those comments live on air. Chad Wood, hello. Tom Powell, the founder of the Toy Lift in Charlottesville, hello. Richmond, Virginia, Northern Virginia, Southwestern Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina, upstate Pennsylvania, and some folks in Tennessee, welcome to the broadcast. Why don't we shift to basketball, Judah, as you're working headlines on screen for us. Judah Wickhauer's behind the camera there. 6'11" German international.
Yeah, wow.
With NBA talent, Hootie, a projected second-round pick decides to come to Charlottesville.
Yeah, I don't know how to. My German's not real good, so I don't know how.
How do I pronounce this man's name?
I know it's Johan, but I don't know. Is it Grunlow?
I was going to ask you, Hootie. You're the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer.
I mean, that's how it phonetically would be, but I don't know if that's the way it is in German or not.
From Hamburg, Germany.
Yeah, he's 6'11", good physique. Supposed to be the second best shot blocker in the German BBL, which is the highest level of professional club play in Germany, and a front court teammate of Jaden Gardner, the former Virginia big man, who's they've played together for more than 30 games this season.
Jaden Gardner transferred from Eastern Carolina University to the University of Virginia, now playing pro sports in Europe and Germany. So there's a UVA connection.
Yeah, and Grunlow, if that's how you pronounce his name, is he's averaging 8.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks a game, 24 minutes a game, shoots 47%, and like a lot of big European big men, can shoot the three.
Dude, what struck me from the video, the highlights, the sizzle reel on this German big man is his ability to stretch the floor and stroke it from Bonosphere.
Yeah, 6'11" and can shoot the three, and that reminds you of some of the NBA players from Europe that we see on a nightly basis. And
I mean, viewers and listeners, we may be looking at the most talented guy on the roster here.
It could be.
I mean, the size, the ability to stretch the floor, and he's a two-way player. I mean, this guy would be an absolute beast in pick-and-roll scenarios.
Absolutely. And he can play on both ends of the floor. Several colleges were in pursuit of him, including Indiana, I know of for sure. But you got to hand it to Ryan Odom and his, we've talked about it before, his strong roots to
Europe,
international recruiting circles. And that was something established by his dad, Dave, back in the day. And Ryan's picked that up and has taken full advantage of it. And it's good for Virginia to have a avenue to bring in international stars.
He was. Chad Wood, watching the program, one of Crozet's finest, Chad Wood. Absolutely, he was a projected second-round pick in the NBA, and he chose to come to college to improve his draft stock. I would imagine this German international is being counseled, look, you're young, you go to college, you have a really good year, maybe 2 back-to-back, and you could lock yourself into first-round money, maybe lottery pick money, because you got size.
Yeah.
You can shoot the ball. You can block the ball. Let's refine some skill sets a little more and see if that plays into NBA, more guaranteed money.
Absolutely. And, he's 19 years old. I think he'll turn 20 this fall. So he's still a pretty young guy, but maybe a little older than your average incoming freshman and maybe a little more mature and not just physically, but otherwise. And a lot of the coaches like these European players because they're more disciplined and have better fundamentals and better shooting skills, honestly, than most American players coming up.
Yeah, and folks, Virginia basketball now, according to 247 Sports, 47 in the transfer portal rankings. Virginia basketball's got 3 4-star commitments. This German international, I'm going to say it again, is looking like the most talented player on the roster. I'm getting this question left and right. What's the starting lineup look like? And maybe the response is, who knows? TBD here.
Yeah, definitely TBD. They still got almost not quite half the roster to fill. So who knows who may be coming in here before the fall starts. And I imagine they're in it for some pretty talented guys. There's still tons of people in the portal that haven't found a home yet, and some guys are entering it as this past week. So, and there may be some more international players they're looking at as well. I don't know, but it's way too early to try to project who might be the starting lineup at this point.
And, we are both hearing a lot of scuttlebutt around the John Paul Jones Arena that Elijah Gertrude is looking absolutely explosive these days.
I've heard those rumors, and that doesn't surprise me. I hope his knee is okay, and it sounds like it's better than okay. Because when he did play a little bit as a freshman and then seeing him in high school, explosive is the right word. I mean, that guy can move and he can jump and he can get up quickly.
Jeremy Wilson watching the program in Cookeville, Tennessee, and he highlights how the portal is impacting Tennessee Tech We love when Jeremy watches the program from Tennessee. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. What's intriguing to me about everything that's happening is the methodical nature Ryan Odom is using. He's doing his best to fill the roster with his kind of guys. Earlier in the portal period, there was a bit of panic from Virginia fans as they were screaming, "Why no big men? Why no big men? Why is he only doing swing players, combo guards, wing players?" And this guy, this 6'11" German international guys, is projected to probably be your starting center here.
Yeah, I would be pretty safe making that call. Well, he wanted to get his kind of players in here quickly, and he's a guard-oriented program with guys who can move and guys who can shoot and guys who can penetrate and guys who can score. He makes no apologies. He loves offense and he loves scoring, and every one of those guys had impressive shooting numbers that he brought in, and as well as this big guy who shoots 47% from the field and nearly 36% from three-point arc. So that he may, again, he's not going to surprise anybody. They know he wants to get up and down the floor and score, and you got to have guys who can score and guys who can shoot. And right now he has a pretty nice lineup of those.
Mr. Wood says he'd like to see a little bit more depth in the front court.
It's coming.
I think it's coming too. Yeah. Another guy we need to highlight on the roster that I think has a lot of upside. Granted, he's very young. Is Silas? What's his last? Is it Barksdale?
Yeah.
The incoming first year
right.
that decommitted from VCU and switched his commitment to Ryan Odom and UVA. The frame of Barksdale is one of like Gumby. He's just long and wispy.
Yeah.
He's got that basketball body. He can jump out of the gym. Was it Junior Burrow who said at this point of his career, Barksdale was further along than he was Junior Burrow himself? And memory serves, Junior Burrow, pretty darn good player here in Charlottesville.
Yeah, he was. I always thought his career was worthy of having his number retired, or at least his jersey retired, and maybe his jersey was retired. It's a little difference in that distinguishing those two different honors, but he was such a complete player, offensively, rebounding, defense, scoring. He was pretty complete, and for him to say, and he knows because he coached him in AAU, yeah. Boo Williams, I think, to say that this guy's ahead of him in everything except maybe the scoring department at this stage or at that stage is pretty impressive.
It's absolutely impressive. Viewers and listeners, the comments are coming in quickly here. John Blair, thank you for watching our program here in Stanton. We appreciate you, Mr. Blair. I mean, this one continues to come in. Is the roster better now than what it was when Odom took over the program? Guys, it's hard to compare. This isn't an apples-to-apples comparison because Odom runs a completely different system.
Yeah.
So the previous players, while they went to very good programs, and we wanted them to go to very good programs because we don't hold animosity or resentment for young men that are trying to become adults and professionals here. We want them to succeed.
Sure.
But Odom didn't see the previous roster as talents capable of running his system.
Yeah, it was a completely different style of basketball. Instead of a slower paced, plotting, heavy defense, not a transition defense, but one that gets back and gets set, which kind of hurt them on the offensive boards, gone to a completely different, almost totally opposite system of up and down the floor, full court pressure, hit the boards hard, and putting the ball up, not sitting around running the shot clock until the end, but getting points up on the board and shooting a lot of threes, a whole lot of threes, not just from one guy, but from numerous players.
I think the style of play is going to be extremely welcomed by Virginia fans who are accustomed to game management. Now they will see what we hope are thoroughbreds getting up and down the floor.
Yeah.
And that aesthetic, I think, is conducive to recruiting today's player. And speaking of today's player, Kyle Guy had a fascinating interview in a podcast.
Yeah.
Where Kyle Guy was discussing his Nevada job, why he was pursued, and why he pursued the Nevada job. He discusses the NIL. He talks about playing basketball in practice against UVA players and how he still has it. Mm-hmm. He talks about today's college basketball and how it's changed. What stood out to you in the Kyle Guy interview, an interview where he was featured in the One Shining podcast earlier in the week?
Yeah, we have a story on that on our website, and it's not everything he said in the podcast. It has the information on there how you can listen to it if you'd like. A couple things struck me. One, the fact that he talked about and essentially confirmed that he was offered a position. He and Isaiah Wilkins were both offered positions here at Virginia.
The same positions.
Essentially the same positions they held, which was gracious, I think, of Ryan Odom because he didn't have to do that. And because most coaches do not retain coaches from the previous staff. It hasn't happened here since probably the Jeff Jones era. That's a long, long time ago, back in the early 90s. Once he thought about coming back here, but then he wanted to become a full-time assistant and realized that he was going to have to go somewhere else for that to happen, and ran into some of his old coaches and associations from growing up in Indiana where he was Mr. Basketball, and reconnected with Steve Alford, who he and Alford's son are good friends.
Another Mr. Basketball.
Yeah.
Is Steve.
Yeah, and it's essentially it's almost the the Nevada staff is almost completely former Indiana people, and it's like somebody, the guy that hosts the podcast said, "Yeah, this should be the Indiana staff right now instead of Nevada," and Kyle agreed to that, and so I was happy he found a home where he's very comfortable in, because it was all like old home week for him, getting back with those guys that were dear to his roots, and that struck me. Also, it struck me that he was talking about the NIL and said that after the 2019 championship, I think that's the next year is when NIL started on a much smaller basis than it is now, and he was talking about then that had Virginia offered him $500,000 to come back for his senior year, but somebody else had tantalized him with $2 million or $2.5 million, he would have gone elsewhere most likely.
Right. I mean, let's cut to that. We all would.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
it's
human
$2 million.
nature. Yeah. It's human nature.
Yeah.
Especially for guys who, it's questionable whether they're going to play in the NBA anyway. Yeah. You got to take the money and
have
run.
the most narrow earning window of some of the most narrow earning windows of any professions out there, athletes.
Yeah. So, there's not a whole lot of loyalty anymore. And he talked about that and how sad that we've kind of lost that, because you used to be able to identify people. Yeah, that guy over there, he was a Carolina guy, or he was a NC State guy, or he was a Georgia Tech guy, or he was a Virginia guy. You're not going to be able to say that in the future, because most of these guys are going to jump from program to program year after year. And now you can say, hey, he was a West Virginia, Ohio State, Missouri, Penn State guy. What are you going to do?
Well, there's a unique opportunity in where we're going with college sports, where if you are able to get a young man or a young woman to commit to your program, and you're going to have to compensate them to keep them around. And if the young man or the young woman does choose to stay 3 or 4 years in a football or basketball program in particular, they could be golden gods. They could be, you know, the type of heroes that we remember because of the transitionary nature of sports. So if a guy chooses to stay long in a program, you're able to build potentially a legacy that others are not because they're going to be more nomadic.
Exactly. No question about it. And it's kind of sad because I think the original purpose of NIL
And Kyle spoke about that.
Kyle spoke about it was, you know, you come back to Charlottesville, you get a deal with McDonald's or some other burger
Good
joint.
Feet store, one of Hootie's partners.
Good Feet store. Some people like that, and it's enough to get an athlete through the year and have some spending money and, you know, that sort of thing. It wasn't designed to make these guys multimillionaires overnight. It just, if it was, it was a well-kept secret to begin with. And it just is spiraled out of control, and it's still out of control.
Well, and Kyle in this interview speaks to the need for regulation. And he compares and contrasts it to European basketball, where he says in Europe, you can get paid whatever the team wants to pay you. It's kind of, you know, pay whatever you want.
Yeah.
But there's rules and regulations that keep things buttoned up. And right now he highlights that's not the case in college basketball.
No, and I don't think that's the way it was meant to be. I mean, right now, all the pro leagues have contracts and
Contact windows,
salary caps, etc.
tampering regulations.
Yeah, college athletics have none of that. It's just totally a mess, and I don't know what it's going to take to fix it. NCAA can't do it. They can try, but I don't know that it's going to work. Congress doesn't seem to be interested in doing it. They can't agree on anything. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to be this way from now on, and it's going to eventually destroy sports as we know it. And I think the next big thing that they're going to have to watch out for is fans losing interest.
Well, I think that's starting to happen. And Bobby Chabra highlighted this in a previous interview. He's in orthopedics and knows these programs inside and out. You know,
Yes,
Dr.
he does.
Chabra.
Yeah.
He said the another crisis to follow is the mental health crisis that's coming, where you're giving these young men, you know, a couple $1 million.
Yeah,
And
some of them can't handle it.
Exactly. Why don't we go down that road? They're expected to be superstar. I mean, look at TJ Power. I mean, TJ Power, from everything we've been told, was the highest paid NIL guy on the UVA team last year. He was a 5-star Duke transfer, and everyone said TJ Power is going to be the star of the team. He started, maybe the first half dozen, maybe the first 10 games of the season.
If that much.
And looked like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the year, he was an afterthought on the bench.
Yeah. And
now he's playing in the Ivy League.
exactly. And you know, I'm sure he's not the only one.
No.
But he's a prime example of what happens when a player comes in with all these high expectations and just doesn't live up to them. Where do you go from there? And that's got to affect you in a lot of ways if you're that player, with all the pressure that's on you, to not only from outsiders but from yourself. You know, why can't I be what I was in high school when I could score 40 points and nobody could stop me, and now I can't even get in the game? That's a harsh reality.
That is a harsh reality. It's the cruel, Darwinistic nature of sports. And it's not just about performance, it's about the mental toughness piece as well. So that mental health, crisis that folks are saying is on. Coach Bennett's made these comments. Mm-hmm. Tony Bennett has.
Yeah.
That he's concerned about the mental health side of college athletics with some of these student athletes. Regardless, how do you characterize the Ryan Odom rebuild so far, and what level of expectation should the fan base have for a team that is, still a ways away from opening, but now college basketball and college football are year-round?
Yeah, there's no time off, and I think that's one of the reasons why some schools are adding GMs to take some of that pressure off the head coach and the coaching staff, because these guys rarely get time off. And also, it's why a lot of coaches have walked away. And I think we're going to continue to see coaches walk away because they're just fed up, and it's year-round pressure. I don't know how some of them handle all of it because the fans are
relentless.
Oh, absolutely relentless. And
I mean, fans are relentless with the media that covers the program.
True.
Is it not? Are they not?
That's true.
Yeah.
And they've got what, 7 players, maybe 8 on the roster right now.
Here, I'll confirm for you. I got that.
That sounds about right. I think 8. So they still got several slots to fill, and they're out there beating the bushes and going through video, and I don't know how big a staff they have that's doing this for the basketball. I know Tony Elliott has several people dedicated to doing that in football. That's a heck of a task in itself, just weeding out these guys. Then you got to see if they fit your style of play. You got to see if they can fit academically. Not all these people can get it through admissions, and I know that's probably cost them some of the players that they were after. And then you got the NIL portion of it you got to deal with. So that's a huge strain on whoever's in charge of trying to put all those pieces together.
Jakari White, the shooting guard, transfer portal. Sam Lewis, the shooting guard, transfer portal. Martin, I don't even know these guys because they're so new. Martin, Martin Kari, I'm butchering his last name. Transfer portal. Dalen Hall, who's a 4-star from BYU. Devin Tillis, that's the transfer portal guys. The 6th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the portal according to 247 Sports. There's 5. And then you got the German International, which is 6, Chance Mallory, which is 7, and then Barksdale, the VCU decommit that commits to UVA, is 8. So you were right. And then Carter Lang, the walk-on, who I think is trying to figure out where his place is in this basketball program.
We still don't know what his status is.
Yeah, and I'd like to know Carter Lang. I see tremendous upside for the young man who showed flashes at Vanderbilt and the SEC and's got the hometown ties to St. Anne's Belfield.
It's another big body.
Yeah. So you're talking 9 guys potentially on the roster right now.
Yeah, and you can have 14 or 15 scholarships now.
Yeah.
So they've got a ways to go.
Now they have. I will highlight this, that they have utilized a good chunk of their NIL revenue for this. So I'm curious of how they spread out the rest of the money. And this is a perfect segue into the general manager position. Has this position been filled and we do not know, like Wally was this past year, or is this position still vacant?
Well, that's a good question. We haven't heard anything. We didn't know that football had a general manager or that women's basketball had a general manager until Carla Williams told us the day Odom was introduced as head coach.
Almost in passing, she makes the comment.
Yeah, it was very casually.
Yeah. Athletic Director Williams, this is a pretty big news.
Yeah, most schools make a huge announcement out of it. Virginia keeps it on the down low. So if they have one, no one is aware of it in public. Probably they may have done something that we don't even know about at this point. I don't think they have, but we don't know that for sure.
Michael Murphy watching on the Jerry Ratcliffe Facebook page. Enjoy the big man from Germany. He's going to be gone in a year. Michael, I think you may be right. I think this is an opportunity for the German international to gain more exposure stateside, and he probably earned a bag of money to come to UVA.
I guarantee you.
And he's going to improve his draft stock from second-round pick to, we hope, first-round pick, maybe late lottery. And then I agree with Michael, he's likely out because this is a professional basketball player. This guy played professional basketball in Germany.
Yeah.
And he just happens to be wearing a UVA uniform here. I'm going to say it again. I think this guy is going to be potentially the star of the team here. So
Very well could be.
we'll see what Odom does with it. At the 11 a.m. marker, we got to talk football.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, Tony
It's
Elliott.
already 11.
I know, time is flying, Hootie. Where do you want to begin with football? I mean, the spring season is over. The spring game's behind us. And he's got, 8 new players since the spring game?
Yeah, one yesterday.
Yeah.
A defensive back from Tennessee. He told us after the spring game in our post-game chat with him that he wanted to build more depth on the offensive line and in the secondary and perhaps add another running back. He's added 2 running backs. And he has fulfilled that desire to fill those spots. And that's where all these guys are essentially from, that he's brought in since the spring game and added a lot of depth in those positions. And, I mean, right now, they're looking pretty solid. I mean, they've got some people who can play and have delivered and put up numbers in other programs. There should be some pretty good expectations from this program this fall. Again, his biggest job is going to be to get all these guys to play cohesively and be effective. But the talent is certainly there, and the old excuse was we just don't have the depth.
We didn't have the horses.
Yeah, and it's a different. He even mentioned that the difference between the Tech and the Virginia program was at that time of the year was a depth issue, and that shouldn't be a problem anymore. And, knock on wood that they don't have a rash of injuries, but they've got depth everywhere now.
They got 4 months and a day from opening game of the season.
Wow.
Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, it's almost
4
here.
months and 1 day from Coastal Carolina, August 30th here in Charlottesville. Then NC State and Raleigh, the Tribe in Charlottesville, William & Mary, Stanford in Charlottesville, Florida State in Charlottesville, Louisville and at Louisville, Washington State for homecoming in Charlottesville, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Cal, Berkeley in Cal. That's a cross-the-country trip. Wake Forest in Charlottesville, Duke and Durham, and Virginia Tech to close the season. Schedule's a little bit more forgiving than last year.
Still not easy, though.
Still not easy sledding.
No.
And you highlight the NC State filling the schedule in week 2 with NC State as a bit curious.
I just don't understand that concept. And you're trying to rebuild a program. And, again, I thought Duke and Wake Forest and even NC State early on when they were trying to rebuild their program were very intelligent in scheduling. And the scheduling can make or break you without question. We've seen what happens when you overload, and especially when you don't have the talent or the depth of your opponents, and it leads to disaster and empty seats and apathy and everything else, lack of revenue. To me, I would have scheduled a cream puff in that NC State slot, and I would have started the season 2-0.
I'm curious about this. How does an ACC opponent, a fellow ACC team, count as an out-of-conference game?
Well, if they're not on your schedule, you can treat it as a non-conference game. I know some of the Carolina schools have done that in the past.
Does it count to the ACC standings?
No.
It does not count to ACC standings?
It does not.
Yeah.
It counts strictly as a
overall
non-conference game.
Yeah.
For both schools. And, I mean, I understand that, it makes sense from the travel and finance situation. It's a easy road trip. And I'm sure I don't know if NC State, if it's a home and home or not. I don't think it is, but maybe it is. I would have scheduled a win there myself, an automatic win, and I would have scheduled another automatic win in place of that Washington State game. And then, you get to a bowl, maybe have more wins than necessary for a bowl. You get a little more fan interest. You get some recruiting interest.
You save the coach's job.
Yeah, you save the coach's job. You do this 2 or 3 years in a row, and then you bring in tougher non-conference competition because then you're on par with them year in and year out, and you can play with people. I don't understand the rationale of putting too much pressure on yourself when you don't. It's not necessary. It's not required.
This comment comes in via Stan. I apologize for interrupting there. John Blair and Stan says, Hootie, as much as these additions through the portal can be helpful, I still think this level of football comes down to quarterback play. Can you offer your perspective and what you're hearing on Chandler Morris?
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about him and the other kid from Nebraska. And, I've talked to some people. He's got all the throws. He's got a good arm. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's a little bit about the same size as Calandria was.
Yeah.
He doesn't move quite as well as Calandria, but he can move. He can run with football. And
this guy reminds me.
He's got a high football IQ. I mean, he's played for 4 or 5 different
systems,
offensive systems, and you can't be a dummy and do that at quarterback.
He reminds me of a bit more cautious, a smidge less athletic, but a bit more cautious and take care of the football, Anthony Calandria.
Yeah.
He's a little less reckless than Calandria, more of a game manager, less gunslinger than Calandria.
Yeah, but he can,
he can still get out, yeah.
He's thrown for, around 6,000 yards in his career and some pretty good football programs. And his father was offensive coordinator at Clemson, was innovative offensive coach before he came to Clemson, and he's been a head coach and a coordinator at other programs since then. So the kid knows football, no question about it. He was raised to be a quarterback essentially, and he's just. I think he's a pretty complete quarterback, in that I'm sure he's excellent at reading defenses and decision making, and I think he's going to do a really good job. And he seems to have, a pretty good receiving core to throw to. And now it looks like they have people who can protect him. Some of these guys they brought in. One of the things I noticed about some of these offensive linemen is they gave up either no sacks or very few sacks for a whole season. Wherever they were from.
Comments coming in quickly. You just highlighted one of the comments coming in quickly. Is the pass protection there?
I don't think it was before, but I think it is now. They've both these guys they brought in this past weekend gave up no sacks in the last season of play. They're all good size. They all seem like they can move. I think some of them are better run blockers. Some of them are better pass protectors. But I think they've got enough depth now that if they have one guy that's injured, it's not going to kill them like some years in the past where they've had to scramble and play guys almost out of position or have guys learn multiple positions just so they could put a patchwork line together. I mean, how many times last year did we hear, we came and put the same offensive line together on the field for 3 games in a row.
Or players were playing significantly sick and under the weather because a sick starter that was under the weather was better than the backup.
Or playing hurt.
Yeah, or playing hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's been the case for quite a while.
And, what's the expectation for Elliott? Is it 8 wins? Beat Virginia Tech in a bowl game? A bowl berth?
I think...
Does 7 save him?
I think 7 definitely saves him.
Yeah.
6 may. I don't know. because you're in a bowl game
Right.
and a chance to win a 7th.
So if you think Coastal, William and Mary should be locks, right?
Should be.
Outside of that, with this team, I'm not going to say anything else is a lock. I'll say Coastal and William and Mary are locks. I mean, where's the other 4 coming?
Yeah, it won't be easy because it's still not an easy schedule.
No, it's not an easy schedule at all.
I think they'll probably be favored at home against Wake Forest.
Second to last home game of the season, Wake Forest, family weekend, Virginia Tech at home.
Yeah, but that's only 3, and you need at least 3 more.
Right,
to get bowl eligible.
History says you don't pick them to beat the Hokies. Duke and Durham. This isn't our granddaddy's Duke football team, folks, as we all know. Cal's a cross-country trip.
Cal's pretty good last year.
Yeah, Cal's pretty good.
Stanford here might be a one you could at least think they'd be favored.
Stanford's doing its best to turn the program around.
Yeah, they are.
Stanford used to be a really good football program.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, yeah. 6 wins is not cupcake here with this schedule. And speaking of the team, Sanker to the New Orleans Saints, Hootie.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him and his family. Great people, and I think he'll do well there. He's not your prototypical NFL safety, but in terms of size and all some of those metrics, but he has a what they used to call a nose for the football.
He's smart.
He's smart. He's tough. He's rugged. He's
quick.
He has great quickness, and he just has a good football IQ. And I think he's hungry. I think he wants to prove to people that he can play at that level, and I think the Saints will be happy with him.
I think he's going to be great. Playing on that turf is going to help him even more.
Mm-hmm.
Sanker, high school football, 7-on-7.
Yeah.
High school football from the Covenant School in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
7-on-7 product, guys. Goes to Charlottesville and that's a guy who you may talk about retiring his number. I mean, one of the reasons Sanker is not more legendary in Virginia football lore is because the team struggled during his time in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I mean, if the program put on a good product, you're looking at one of the greatest safeties to don a Virginia uniform here.
Yeah, he put up some really nice numbers during his career and made so many big plays from that side of the football that without him, you wonder what might have happened. They might not have been as good as they were.
And more Virginia news: Tyler Neville, an undrafted free agent, is picked up by the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I think he has a good chance
Big
of making
time.
that squad because
He's got upside.
Yeah, he has a good football IQ too, and he made so many big plays for Virginia last year that a lot of people didn't expect. And he was hard to cover. He seemed like he was always open, and
he's a man.
Was good with the football in his hands. He knew what to do with it.
6'4", 250, and Chris Tyree to the Saints, undrafted free agent.
Yeah, I don't know about him because we just never really
saw anything.
See the real Chris Tyree.
Yeah,
he was hurt so much, and the one flash we did see him with that long, impressive touchdown early in the season was called back because of a penalty, and never got to see that again.
What'd you make of the Shedeur Sanders slide?
I'm still not sure what to make of that. I think he hurt himself in the interviews, part of the combine, and coming off a little cocky and arrogant and disinterested. That's a turnoff to NFL teams. I've heard Tiki Barber and Thomas Jones and a lot of former Virginia players in the NFL talk about how the NFL people love drafting Virginia players because they know that they have a high IQ, not just in football, and that they're mature, they're disciplined, they've been in a good system, and they don't do stupid things. And I think Shedeur hurt himself with his attitude, and you come off as maybe not being a great locker room guy, and some people just don't want any part of that. They don't want that on their football team,
especially at that position.
Yeah, I mean that can destroy a locker room. I hope that's not the case with him. I wish him the best, but I mean that's the appearance that they project.
Oh, that's definitely the appearance right there. It's definitely, he comes with a lot of baggage, and some upside, but a lot of baggage. Hootie Ratcliffe, Spring Sports Roundup, lacrosse, a losing season for men's lacrosse.
Yeah, baseball too. Right now, I think they're under 500 now, and nobody saw that coming in either sport. And I wish I could tell you why. I know that the lacrosse team has had some injuries from early on that affected them and impacted their season. Baseball, they've had some struggles at hitting, and then hitting's okay, and the pitching has let them down. But I really don't know the reason why that they're both struggling like they are.
Virginia baseball,
Very uncommon.
now right above 500 in ACC play at 11-10.
Okay.
Yeah, 11-10.
I was
for
thinking
Virginia
about overall. I think they're
24-16 overall.
okay.
Virginia baseball.
I saw the wrong stat last night then when
but-
I was looking.
But the lacrosse team certainly below 500 and finishing the season. Still plenty to highlight. Golf and tennis. I mean, the
How about
season,
that golf team?
this is right up your alley here.
I'm so happy for Bowen Sargent because Virginia had never won an ACC golf title until yesterday, and he's been here for 21 years, and they've been playing golf over there for 72 years. I don't know if they won some kind of a title prior to joining the ACC back in the early 50s, but a long time coming for Bowen. I'm so happy for him because I know that's something that wore on him constantly, and they came so close so many times and couldn't pull it off. They've had individual ACC champions, but not a team champion, and so that was really great to see those guys break through yesterday.
An embarrassment of riches, despite the sub 500 season for lacrosse, and despite the 11-10 conference record for Virginia baseball on Tuesday here, April 29th, an embarrassment of riches for Virginia with its spring sports. Hootie Ratcliffe, what's in the hopper at jerryratcliffe.com?
Still keeping our eye on football and basketball signings. I don't know if football is done. They might be. No guarantee of that, but still a lot of interest in what's going on with the basketball team and what they're hunting down and trying to bring in here. And an eye on spring sports and everything Wahoo, pretty much.
We'll follow it, jerryratcliffe.com. It was on the website this morning over my cup of coffee and my Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, did our friend from the Eastern Shore make it on this?
He did.
Hot map today. I wanted to give him a shout out.
He's watching the program.
He sent me a map just to show me where they were. I've actually been to the Eastern Shore a couple of times to play Bay Creek, the golf courses there at the tip of the Eastern Shore. Two great golf courses, Nicholas and Palmer. I went there and watched for the grand opening with Nicholas and Palmer there, so it was pretty cool.
He said, gentlemen, he's the gentleman that commented early in the show that he's listening in the car today.
Oh, he's the one that was in the car.
R
I missed that. I knew somebody, but I didn't know it was him.
Yeah, R Daisy from the Eastern Shore, and we love when he watches the program. He has on his Twitter account, he's living his best life in the Tidewater of Virginia.
Yeah,
I bet he is.
He
It's
said
beautiful territory, God's country.
I think he has a couple of kids that played. I don't know if they played sports, but they went to Roanoke College. I think he pointed that out. So good for him.
Good for him, absolutely. Guys, the show is archived wherever you get your social media or podcasting content. It's archived at jerryratcliffe.com and on ilovecville.com. We encourage you to visit jerryratcliffe.com for everything UVA and Wahoo related. I'm on the website every day. It's the source of the source for Virginia athletics. Judah Wickower behind the camera.
He is the man. He's dapper as usual. Look at him over there,
MVP,
man.
Judah Wickhauer.
Looks like he just stepped off a GQ.
Absolutely, absolutely. The I Love CVille show, viewers and listeners, up at 12:30. Thank you kindly for watching the Jerry and Jerry show. So long, everybody.